Reducing our impact. Christopher York is a writer who often blogs about environmental issues. Last year, he decided to try a personal experiment. For 1 year, he would produce as little trash as possible, stop using fossil fuel, and buy nothing except food that had been grown within 400 kilometers of his home. He kept a record of his efforts on his blog. Our experiment. Welcome to my blog. My name is Christopher, and I live in Chicago with my wife and our 2-year-old son. For 1 year, we're going to attempt to stop having a negative impact on the environment. This might not seem difficult in the countryside, but it's a real challenge when you live in the middle of a big city. Our first step will be figuring out the best ways to stop creating trash. After that, we're going to take a close look at the food we buy. Finally, we'll look for sustainable ways to reduce energy use. I know it won't be easy, but I feel that this is a very important issue. I'm not an expert, and I don't expect to be a role model. I just hope other people can learn from our mistakes and find their own ways to live more environmentally friendly lives. Day 1. The first day of reducing our impact. Here we go. Our priority today was finding ways to stop creating trash. We quickly realized that we can't buy anything that comes in a package. We can't even order a coffee to go in a paper cup. The experiment has barely begun, and already I'm wondering if it's impossible. There's a cafe around the corner where my wife and I often go to get fresh juice. I explained our experiment to the woman behind the counter. She was very supportive and said we could bring our own bottles rather than using the cafe's paper cups. Then it occurred to me that most of the fruit at the cafe was grown in tropical countries. In order to drink my pineapple juice, the fruit had to be flown hundreds of kilometers in an airplane. Airplanes, of course, use fossil fuel. To solve this problem, I made my own food rule. I would buy only locally grown food. Sadly, I realized that I won't be drinking any pineapple juice for the next 12 months. Day 47. Life without electricity. The summer heat has begun, and we really miss our air conditioner. We had to find another way to cool our home because we decided to cut off the electricity to reduce our energy use. We tried keeping the windows open, but our apartment was soon filled with hungry mosquitoes. Luckily, one of our neighbors came to our rescue and let us use her old window screens. Being part of a community certainly makes low-impact living easier. Originally, we thought that not having lights would be the hardest part of living without electricity, but we found that we actually enjoyed doing things by candlelight. Not having a refrigerator, however, was a real problem. All of our milk and vegetables kept going bad in just a day or two. We thought we had found the solution when we read about the pot-in-a-pot device. It's a small pot placed inside a larger one with a layer of wet sand between them. Apparently, people use these to store food in parts of Africa. Unfortunately, the pot-in-a-pot didn't keep our milk from spoiling. In just a couple of days, our fresh milk turned into smelly cheese. I guess we're going to have to borrow a picnic cooler from my father and fill it up with ice from a neighbor's freezer. Day 104. Finding the bright side of things. When we first started this experiment, we had lots of arguments about simple tasks that had suddenly become difficult. For example, who would take our son to his daycare center each morning? Before, this had just required spending a few minutes in a taxi. Now it meant an extra 20 minutes on foot before making the long walk to work. Most of these things have worked out smoothly. My wife now says that her daily walk is the best part of her day. As a busy working mother, she values having some time alone. Not having a TV has really strengthened our relationships. My wife and I talk more often, and both of us are spending more quality time with our son. Even our health has improved. Before we started this experiment, both of us were slightly overweight. By always using the stairs and walking everywhere, we've gotten into shape without ever setting foot in a gym. Day 365. The end of the experiment. What did we learn from our experiment? We now know that it's possible to live a calm and peaceful life in the middle of the city. All you have to do is stop rushing around, eating junk food, and watching TV. Our family now spends more time together, and we're all happier because of it. We've even become close friends with some neighbors we hardly knew before. It's clear that by reducing your impact on the environment, you help yourself just as much as you help the world.